Hey guys, you need to hear this. Interstellar Object 3I Atlas shows sign of non-gravitational acceleration.
Astrophysicist Avi Loeb. Professor Loeb, thanks for being with us here today. You have been the most legitimate voice, the most renowned or credible voice in pointing out this has some high probability of being something other than a deep space comet. I believe, Professor, you gave it a 40% probability before this latest evidence.
And what is very, very confusing for scientists is, how does this thing accelerate? Comets, if it's a comet, they accelerate by losing mass. But it didn't. It's visible again for us now after it was hiding behind the sun. So I've shown you the first images in my last video. But what does that mean? Is it a spaceship that has an engine that has accelerated it? Guys, we will look at the scientific base of this. We don't want to wear a tinfoil hat. But guys, as astrophysicist Avi Loeb said, if you're going on a blind date, and this is what we're doing with this interstellar object, because it's only the third one that we're observing, and this one is way bigger and way more mysterious. So going on a blind date, what do? You observe your blind date. You're trying to find out as much as you can. And he said, that's what we should do with 3I Atlas. Because if this is not just a piece of rock, this has implications for all of us, for our whole planet. This is how crucial this is. So it's accelerating now. We heard it's getting brighter, it's getting bluer. Now it has 9 confirmed anomalies that are totally different than the first 2 interstellar objects and totally different than any other comet that we've ever seen. And this thing here has the size of Manhattan.
Let's talk about what this evidence is. A blue tail and a change in pace.
Indeed, I did a calculation that indicated that in order for it to accelerate in the way that it did recently, it must have, if it's a natural comet, it must have lost a substantial fraction of its mass, of all the 20% or so. And we should see a very massive cloud of gas around it as soon as it comes out of the being hidden behind the sun. That should weigh of order 5 billion tons of gas around it. If we don't see that, there must have been some other means of propulsion that gave it that acceleration. So that's very exciting.
What is going on, guys? Stay with me. We will look at this. Interesting interviews and images that I'm going to show you. And I'd be grateful if you could give this video right now an early like and a hype to support my channel. Let's dive into this, guys.
You know, it could be a rock. Maybe that's the most likely interpretation. But we should be open-minded. We should be humble because it's an opportunity to learn something new.
So really the headlines that we're seeing in the news, Comet may contain alien engine. An alien engine. This thing is alien, no question. It's not from our solar system. Even if it's just a piece of rock, it's totally different from other comets in our solar system. This is very old and it's coming from very far away. That is out of the question already.
Okay, so it has picked up speed, and you're telling me that is either because it has some alternate source of propulsion other than gravitational pull, or it has an engine. And if it does not have an engine, you're suggesting it should have been shedding size. That's the only way it would have picked up speed. So if it hasn't shedded size, essentially it's got an engine and therefore it's alien?
And we hear this from seasoned scientists when they say the mysterious interstellar object has unexpectedly started to excessively getting brighter.
The cloud of gas that it should have shed, you know, it's a significant fraction of its mass. So it was obliterated by the sunlight in that case. And we should see that the object is losing a lot of mass into a cloud of gas. That's easy to spot with all our telescopes. You know, we have hundreds of them around the globe. So within a few weeks, we will be able to tell. That's what makes it exciting. If there is no gas that it sort of shed and therefore got a recoil from that shedding, like the rocket effect, then it's something else that propelled it.
Let's call it a visitor, whatever that visitor is. It has been racing through our solar system. At a blistering velocity, it has reached its closest point to the sun on October 29th. And during that close approach, scientists were surprised to notice that 3A Atlas brightened much faster than they anticipated. Comets commonly form a tail of gas and dust as they approach the sun. We know that because the sun's radiation causes solid ice to sublimate into gas. And that causes material to be stripped off from the comet's surface. That then reflects more light.
And as you pointed out, it appeared bluer than the sun. That's very unusual because usually comets are red because they're surrounded by dust that makes them red. Their surface is cooler than the surface of the sun, and therefore they are redder. But this one seems to be bluer when it approached the sun. That's actually the time for a spacecraft to accelerate, to use the gravitational assist from the sun.
All normal. However, guys, the astronomers were really caught off guard by how quickly 3I Atlas luminosity grew in observations by two solar observatories. NASA's Solar Terrestrial Relation Observatory, its shortcut STEREO, and the European Space Agency's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory that is called SOHO, as well as the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's GOES-19 weather satellite. We need to rely on these observatories basically as a stopgap measure because Earth-based observatories won't be able to track the object until it reemerges from behind the sun in early December.
If my memory serves correctly, you had it at 40% before this evidence of acceleration and the blue tail. Now that you have this evidence, has your calculation changed at all? 40% that it is some type of artificial technology?
I would wait a few more weeks and either revise my ranking down to 0 or to 10. And of course, that's what makes science exciting. We shouldn't have an opinion about our dating partner. My best advice to people who go on blind dates is to observe the other side before having an opinion. Okay. So I'm just waiting for a few more weeks.
So the reason for 3A Atlas rapid brightening, which far exceeds the brightening rate of most comets at similar radial distance, remains unclear, guys. It's a mystery.
It was data from the ALMA observatory, which is a millimeter wave set of sensors that presumably detected the 3A Atlas as it approached perihelion, closest approach to the sun. And what it discovered is a deviation by 4 arc seconds in right ascension from the expected path. And that's very significant, statistically significant.
We have, for example, the Naval Research Laboratory astrophysicist Carl Bottoms and the Lowell Observatory postdoctoral fellow Ki-Cheng Sang, they wrote in a paper about this rapid brightening.
I calculated, given the level of acceleration that they inferred that was reported on the Jet Propulsion Lab website for 3I Atlas, that corresponds to evaporation of about a sixth of the mass of the object to give it that kind of a boost as a result of recoil. It's a very significant fraction of the mass of the object. And I calculated it based on momentum conservation. The material flowing away from the object in one direction gives it a kick in the opposite direction. There is no way out of that. And under relatively conservative assumptions about the escape speed of the molecules or dust particles from the object, one gets that a substantial fraction of the mass of the object had to be evaporated. So that means that if it's a comet, a natural comet, it should be surrounded by a cloud of gas that carries 5 billion tons or more. and the object itself was losing a significant fraction of its mass. So that means when we look at the 3I Atlas after it goes out of hiding behind the sun, and that should happen within a week or two. If it's a natural comet, we should really see a very bright, massive cloud of gas, and perhaps even a cometary tail that is extremely bright around it. If we don't see that, the question is what propelled it? And there is no way out. One way or another, we should figure out the nature of the object. If it evaporated, if 20% or so of the mass of the object got evaporated by sunlight, then we will know its nature, because that's a substantial portion of the mass that the object was made of to start with. And we can figure out what composition that material has.
They try to provide us with some theories why it's getting brighter. So for one, it could be the object's immense speed. But the question is, okay, good. Where is that speed coming from? So it's been traveling at a speed of 137 miles per hour, significantly faster than either of the two previously discovered interstellar objects. So, okay, the speed might be a reason, but we can't explain the speed either. Could it have something to do with the object's composition itself? They think that oddities in nucleus properties like composition, shape, or structure, which might have been acquired from its host system or over its long interstellar journey, may likewise contribute to the rapid brightening. But the third theory is it's artificial. It's an engine.
What else could be going on here?
The question is there much more gas now? It's possible because it got brighter. If we don't see that very massive amount of mass of gas around it, then there might be something else propelling it. A spacecraft obviously can, in principle, have an engine that will not produce such a massive cloud of gas.
Then I've reported about this. There's another thing. The astronomers also found out that 3I Atlas is distinctly bluer than the sun. So many questions remain. And we will have to wait for future observations to shed more light on this matter, hopefully. In addition to all that mystery, there comes the quiet from NASA, and we hear headlines when the silence becomes the story, and it has become the story.
What's the latest with your quest to try to get some of the images released that NASA already has? It may not be public because of the government shutdown. And when are we going to see land-based, like Earth-based observations? Because I know that's right around the corner, right?
Right. The high-rise camera on board the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter took images of 3I Atlas when it came closest to Mars. That was the 2nd and the 3rd of October, more than a month ago. And I tried to reach out to the principal investigator of that camera. I didn't get a response. And I corresponded with Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who brilliantly decided to send a letter to the acting administrator of NASA, Sean Duffy. She sent it on October 31st. We haven't heard back from him. However, he immediately responded to a tweet from Kim Kardashian, who asked, what is the tea about 3I Atlas? And he responded to her. And my complaint is that in terms of priorities, he should respond quicker to a letter from Congress or to a scientist who really wants to analyze that data. And unfortunately, we didn't hear back. So as of now, the claim is that this is a result of government shutdown. I think it's inappropriate to withhold the scientific information from the community because we are planning future observations based on what we know about 3I Atlas.
Congress now wants it released. They're saying release the damn pictures. So we're already 3 weeks into this blue light anomaly, and maybe their pictures would help explain that. The absence of these data has turned 3I Atlas from a scientific curiosity also into a test of institutional trust. Because despite the government shutdown, people think they could release the images because the images were made in basically cooperation with universities that are not in shutdown. So 3I Atlas, the object a size of Manhattan weighing an estimated 33 billion tons, continues to challenge our understanding of what is moving through our solar system. We have this intense blue spectrum and this non-gravitational drift. And for some, and also for me, one of the most surprising elements is not what 3I Atlas is doing. It's what NASA refuses to say or release. So NASA remains silent, but the European spacecraft, it's called JUICE, it prepares to observe the interstellar traveler in November this month, potentially breaking the silence that NASA has maintained now for weeks without an explanation. When 3I Atlas approached perihelion, when it was hiding behind the sun was between Atlas and the Earth. The astronomers noted an unusual intensity of blue light. I've reported about this, far brighter than the solar reflected hues that are typically seen in comets within our solar system. But the non-gravitational deviation is something that I really want to talk to you about, guys, because that's the latest that is stunning scientists and us as well. So the trajectory data that we have received, they revealed a sideways deviation inconsistent with pure gravitational motion. Boom! This is groundbreaking, don't you think? In this case, maybe like, I don't know, space breaking. So typically, guys, such shifts in comets are explained by the sublimation of surface ice, jets of gas that slightly alter the path. However, we have calculations released by independent researchers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory indicate that the observed drift in 3I Atlas exceeds known cometary behavior by several magnitudes. So it's not normal. And we have Avi Loeb that said, before it was reaching perihelion, he said, this is the moment when it's hidden from sight, where it could do something if it was an alien spaceship. This is the moment when it would change trajectory and it could come towards Earth, for example, or it could, while it's staying on its path, release smaller ships or sensors, drones, whatever. And now it has done something else. Guys, I'm not saying the aliens are here. So several magnitudes how it exceeds everything that's known with normal comets. This raises the possibility, guys, of a non-gravitational force acting on the object. That sounds a little bit scary. So what could that force be? It could be due to extreme outgassing, electromagnetic effects. That all sounds still okay. Or the other possibility, an artificial mechanism that mimics thrust. So what's that JUICE spacecraft with the funny name? So NASA remains silent. They're not saying anything, but JUICE is currently on its way on an 8-year journey on its way to Jupiter. Hopefully it's going to become our next observer to give us more insight in 3I Atlas. Because JUICE has high resolution instruments on board that they maybe could attempt to do a brief imaging session during November, during this month, because the probe's position offers a favorable line of sight between Mars and the Sun, so that it maybe has a chance to observe the object. If that would be successful, JUICE would deliver the first deep space imagery of 3I Atlas since NASA's HiRISE camera. And the images that were taken on October 2nd were also taken with the high-rise camera, the ones that they're not releasing since basically early October. So what the scientists are saying, that even a single captured frame could help determine whether the object's blue spectrum and non-gravitational drift are natural phenomena or indicators of technology. Yes, that would be very, very important, don't you think? So there's public pressure, Congress is putting pressure on NASA, but nothing is coming from NASA. No statement, repeated academic inquiries, right? It's not just us, the general public, saying, hey, release the images. No, I mean, this is important. This could affect the whole world. I mean, Avi Loeb has written open letters to them. Nothing. For over a month, the agency has maintained complete radio silence. While they have released some other information here and there about other topics, so it's not that nobody's there that could release these images, and it's not that hard. They're not giving us any explanation or clarification or any context or explanation about the blue light anomaly or the deviation that was noted. It's very unusual for NASA to do that. That's what we have to say. And that's why I think everyone's so surprised. Normally, the new findings, new images, they're displayed, they're making videos, they're making press releases. It all seems very enthusiastic and optimistic, and they really seem to be quite transparent. I know some of you are saying, don't believe what NASA's saying, whatever, but we're getting very, very high resolution images from NASA of earthquake zones like in Myanmar, even about Campi Flegrei, about space. So they're very, very helpful. But now, I have to admit too, this silence has evolved into something else. It's more than a communication gap. It's basically, it's a test of credibility. They're losing their credibility if they're not doing this, because of course people are starting to wonder, are they hiding anything, or are they hiding something? Are they not telling us something? I personally don't believe they're hiding something. I think it's probably really just everyone's out of office, or the one that is in office doesn't believe they have authority to do that. But again, even if you're out of office, make a phone call, right? And of course, people are questioning, are these institutions prepared to confront phenomena that defy current models of understanding? We're not really prepared for alien visitors, should they ever arrive. So it's interesting. It's absolutely fascinating, guys. I believe sooner or later, whenever that might be, we have to prepare for visitors, and we have to have a plan on how to deal with them, because many people say chances that they are hostile are high, but you don't want to just shoot something down before you know, because if they are able to come to us before we're able to come to them, means their technology is way better and they probably have surveilled us or surrounded us. So us trying to shoot them down is maybe not the best idea. I don't know. We should really think about that, or even think about the possibility that we might encounter more of these interstellar objects while our technologies are getting more precise and more better, that we are able to discover them. I don't think there's only been 3 interstellar objects. These are only the ones that we have detected, most likely. So I will follow up for you with that. I have a playlist about 3i Atlas where you can find all the information about the 9 anomalies and all the background information. And if you want to learn about volcanoes and earthquakes, a supervolcano in Italy that is creeping towards the devastating eruption because it's the most densely populated supervolcano in the world. 500,000 people in the red zone and 6 million people in the greater Naples area. Click the videos in the end screen, guys. And if you want to support my channel, buy me a coffee. The link is in the description. buymeacoffee.com/silky. Stay safe, be prepared. Thank you so much for watching. I see you there.